Hey guys and gals, Joe here. The man who is already a third of the way through Blood Meridian, and I'm so happy, honestly. So happy you guys recommended to me. Amazing book so far. Maybe we could do like an INC book club. Anyways, I'm not here to discuss the brilliance of Cormac McCarthy. I'm instead here to talk about UFC Fight Night, Lerone Murphy versus Edson Barboza. So enough talk. Let's get to the fights. Main event was UK's own Lerone Murphy taking on Edson Barboza at featherweight. Barboza, every time he got close to hitting that upper echelon, something knocked him back down. He's not the best gatekeeper ever, but he's probably the most exciting gatekeeper ever, I would say. I look at it as a gatekeeper as like you can't have ever got a title shot. You know, like you can't have ever got one. Well, that's not fair because Cerrone had two. Right? He had two. Or one. Oh. But Cerrone's number one gatekeeper of all time. So maybe I need to change my own ruling. But anyways, Edson Barboza, though, he's still winning. He put Billy Quarantillo out with an open side knee to counter a level change, something I talk about constantly. It feels like every preview show with me and Carl, I always bring up the possibility of this technique. And Edson Barboza did get one, proving that, you know, a broken clock's right twice sometimes, so I'm ready for my second time. There is another time. Lerone Murphy actually has the other one that I can think of at the top of my head, in the UFC at least, like Joaquin Hansen used to do. So anyways, getting off track, thinking about awesome fights in martial arts. I just love it. And he beat, Edson Barboza also beat Super Sadiq Youssef not too long ago, which that's a good win, in my opinion. That's a really good win. Sadiq Youssef is a very good fighter. Definitely that fringe top 10. You know, he might turn. He's almost kind of like waiting for him to like turn that corner and really put it together. But a certain name stopped him recently, and I'm not going to spoil that because I do want to talk about that name because I think they play a part with this main event. Because Lerone Murphy, unbeaten, he has hype on him. This is logical matchmaking at its finest. You put the up and coming guy who I admit after his his knockout over, was it Amirkhani? I haven't been the most impressed with him. You know, I admittingly just I'm like, oh, he's good. He's really good, clearly. But I haven't been, like, floored with him like I was with Arnold Allen's come up, Sadiq Youssef's come up, Ilia Topuria, Bryce Mitchell. I was really impressed with their come-ups. And Lerone Murphy's was probably the one that cooled me off the most. I'm a little bit cooled off on him, personally. But Barboza, historically, has always struggled with someone who can like really constantly pressure them and either use wrestling to mix it up and just constantly put him on the back foot. Because Barboza, his way of getting you off of him, because he's always excelling when he's the one coming forward and he's the one putting the pressure on him, letting it rip, and like his way of getting people off of him is just to stand his ground and trade or throw a low kick and hope to circle off, and maybe they'll grab their leg and, you know, be hurt from it, and it'll stop them wanting to move in on him. Like he kind of uses his firepower as a warning to step in on him in a sense. So Lerone Murphy here did his homework, because one thing too is when Barboza is circling away, he is notoriously very hittable when he's circling away. Justin Gaethje, Bryce Mitchell caught him that way. Giga caught him that way. I can think of almost every guy that like has blasted him on the feet has done it as he's circling or stepping back. Every name, like Jamie Varner, his like first loss ever was Jamie Varner, and Jamie Varner caught him, I believe, backing up as well. And Lerone Murphy did his homework here. He was putting the pressure on him, using well-timed level changes to take the fight to the ground whenever Barboza was going to get momentum from like a huge kick. One thing Barboza always does is, like, if you're beating him and he's kind of struggling to get the momentum back, he's just going to spin. That's like a tell you see in like these really good strikers. Like really good strikers will sometimes like that like to spin. Will sometimes just spin, hoping for the best. Uriah Hall used to do it a lot. I'm not saying he's the best high tier striker, but in terms of striking technique, he was very good. You know, Uriah Hall used to do it. Edson Barboza does it. Valentina Shevchenko, who I'm I'm not making fun of her here. Just saying she had a tendency when she was pressured to spin, and it led her to getting choked out. No, I'm kidding. No disrespect, obviously, on her. I'm not here to rag on her yet, but I'm just saying. You see that, like, and it's always really cool when you see guys who are ready for that and they know how to deal with that. And Lerone Murphy was here and ready for it. I mean, Khabib, as great as Khabib was, his plan for the Barboza spin when it eventually comes is, I'm just going to take it and shoot another double, and somehow he wasn't knocked out. Underrated chin on Khabib, historically. But Lerone Murphy, putting the pressure on him, putting some whooping on him. He had a little bit slower start here, but he showed some good grit, kind of keeping going and just constantly going and going and going. And it just kind of broke Barboza. Nearly finished him multiple times. Couldn't quite get the finish, but unanimous decision win for Lerone Murphy. Probably it's his biggest win in his career for sure. Biggest name, and he's calling for someone in the top 10. And it was a very, very impressive performance. I dig him fighting someone in the top 10, and I have just the name for him. Diego Lopez, who was the name I was kind of hinting at, the guy who beat Super Sadiq Yusuff recently. I am very high on this Diego Lopez train. I am incredibly high on this train. Dude has very good power in his hands, and if you put him on his back, you're in a jiu-jitsu whirlwind. Like, his only loss in the UFC was to Evloev, which he took on I think 9 days notice, I think they said, and it was super close. Like, it was really close. Like, I thought Evloev won. I do think, I'm not saying the judges got it wrong, robbery, I'm not saying that. Evloev, I think, won, for sure. But Lopez made him work, and you kind of wonder on a full camp, would Evloev have lost that fight? Like, it's kind of wild. He makes his UFC debut fighting a dude who's like top 3 right now and does that. Insanity. If he would have upset him, if he would have beat him, I would have been like, oh, that's like up there with like the Sokaju KOing Little Nog for me, because I'm pretty high on Evloev. I think Evloev's very good. And I think this is a great fight for Lerone Murphy. I've heard people toss a name like Arnold Allen out there, which I think that's a very good fight for either of those 3 guys. I think it's a good, or either of those 2 guys, Lerone Murphy or Lopez. But I think Lopez Murphy is the fight to make. I was a big fan of the matchmaking when they did Ilia Topuria and Bryce Mitchell. Like, hey, these guys are like, this is the same philosophy for me. Both these guys climbing the ranks quickly. They're getting wins. They have finishes. Like, let's see who the realest one is now, and maybe we can create a rivalry that'll last into the future. They're both in their 30s, so it's not like Bryce Mitchell and Topuria, who were very young, who were like in their 20s. Like, I'm older than them, but like Lopez is, I think, 31, 32. Lerone Murphy's 32. So I still think that philosophy holds weight here. Fingers crossed. But then, co-main event, well, with these fight nights, especially in the post-UFC 300 hangover, you get these fight cards, and you usually see like 1 or 2 fights on there that like, you're like, I'm actually interested in that. Like, I was interested in this main event. And the rest you just kind of collectively go, all right, meh. I wasn't necessarily excited to see Chaos Williams take on Carlston Harris. And Chaos Williams, he delivered for me, man. Big right hand follow-up after that, and he just delivered some sweet, sick, good old-fashioned family-friendly violence for me with a quick KO over Carlston Harris in 90 seconds. Perfect for me. I couldn't be happier. It's a good finish, too. It's really, really good violence. I like that, Especially needed it, because for the rest of the card, let's start with Thembe Gorimbo beating Ramiz Brahimaj by unanimous decision in one of the worst fights I've seen in a long time. If you would have told me after the fight that, yeah, they're both Holly Holm prodigies, I would have been like, yeah, I believe it. I would legitimately believe that they both were trained exclusively by Holly Holm. After that, it was abysmal. It was abysmal. A lot of Holly Holming, what I'm trying to say. But after that, or before that, Vinicius Salvador, he actually was having success early against Adrian Yanez before getting blasted by a big shot, then finished for a TKO. Good win for Adrian Yanez, coming back into the fold, trying to get momentum back after 2 pretty brutal finish losses. The low kicks from Jonathan Martinez, and before that, Rob Font put the thunder down on him. Angela Hill, our girl, everyone's girl, probably mega fan favorite for the rest of her career, got a guillotine win over Luana Pinheiro. Tom Nowlin, nice comeback win. He was getting kind of battered around by Victor Martinez, but then he gets a TKO to finish the round. It's a good comeback win. I like it. We can always be really happy with that. Omar Sy, great debut with a quick rear naked choke against Tuco Tokos, which I have to make my obligatory Breaking Bad joke here. I would imagine Tuco probably before the fight thought this fight was going to go tight. Oh, I am horrible. I'm incredibly unfunny. Why do you guys watch me? No, I'm just kidding. Melissa, speaking of funny, Melissa Gatto got one of the funniest and oddest wins in UFC history. Not even UFC history, MMA history, with a boob punch TKO against Damaris Vidal. And I asked multiple female friends of mine, about the legitimacy of that punch. And one of them has responded. Only one of them has responded because I asked later in the night, and one of them said, "It effing sucks. Don't recommend taking one." So, pretty good friend that is. I don't have any knowledge. I went with this. What's up with this? I'm going to have to go with her word. Abus Magomedov got a unanimous decision win over Farley Alves. Ariane Carnelosi was getting beat up pretty good by Piera Rodriguez, but Piera Rodriguez kept headbutting her on the ground. Just kept disqualified, and rightfully so. I thought they looked a little intentional to me. I was like, come on, you're going head first in. Healy Alatin got a unanimous decision over Clayton Rodriguez. And lastly, another person who I would put in my girl stable, boy stable, whatever we want to call it, is Vanessa Demopoulos. And she opened up the card with a split decision win over Emily Ducati. Next week, I'll be here. But I know what you're saying. There's no fights next week, Joe. Well, I'll be here because I'm going to shoot the preview show, of course, with Carl next week. But I'm also thinking about just doing a little fun rainy day video for you guys. Why not? Let's keep the momentum going. I've been having a lot of fun on the channel. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep having fun. And, so if there's anything you guys want me to talk about, drop it down in the comments. Any kind of topic, at least hopefully regarding MMA, and I'll just talk about it for 10 minutes or so. You know what I mean? If it's a question you want to ask me, I'll talk about that for 10 minutes or anything, and I'll just grab them all, and then I'll do one next week, and then maybe I can save it for the rainy days in the future. If no one says anything, then I'm just gonna, I don't know, probably cry, but then probably just talk about random cool things in MMA that I really like that no one talks about, Also, if you don't know, now you know. If you're a member of the Patreon, then I have something that will really entice you if you're not a member to join. I would appreciate that. And honestly, though, you can go right now and check out a video for the main channel Carl already has up, which is on the UFC lightweight Dark Ages, which I actually just finished watching before shooting. I ate breakfast and watched it. Peak. I love UFC history, love MMA history as a whole. Talking about that era of lightweight when I was growing up. Fantastic stuff. Super awesome. And as a bonus, you can request me to shoot any retro review we can do. They've been a little slower right now. We've had some editing issues, and I've had some issues with my shooting schedule, so it's really kind of hard. Please be. I wanted to kind of apologize on my behalf because I'm having issues shooting them and getting them out on time. My shooting schedule's been a little weird, but we're always working on it. So add to the list. I love working on these things. They're the greatest thing ever. They're the most fun I have on the channel probably is shooting these retro reviews. And I love talking to you guys in the comments about it. It's so much fun. So that's just an added bonus for joining the Patreon. Anyways, I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.